So I'm just going to do a very quick introduction, just tell you a little bit about the history of Renew Newcastle and how it grew into Renew Australia. So tell you a little bit about the logic behind the program and how that works, and then we can get a chance to check out this great space and the space next door. So I just want to quickly just start with the story of Renew Newcastle. Who's been to Newcastle? That's really good actually. I did this in Sydney, you get like half that number, I don't know why. But so Newcastle has it had a very turbulent history, I guess, for a while there. Once upon a time, the BHP Steelworks in Newcastle employed 20,000 people. It closed in the late 90s. 20,000 people out of a community of, what, 400,000 or something is like, you know, basically everyone's family worked at the steelworks. And so the net effect was this very crushing loss of jobs and the whole community. I came back, I grew up in Newcastle, I've been living in Melbourne, I came back in 2008, and long story short, I was just like looking at the vacancies in the main street and just seeing empty shop. Like this is the second oldest theatre in Australia, it's been empty all my life. You know, boarded up. That's a beautiful building and it's been empty for a long time. There's this beautiful model, sorry, I'm just pointing a laser pointer at this guy over here. My apologies for that, I was trying to point to the model there of your old post office, which apparently is gone. Newcastle's old post office is in the process of deteriorating by neglect. It's been empty for 15 years and is falling apart. But more prosaically and pragmatically, there's just empty shop after empty shop along the two main streets. So in 2008, I went back to Newcastle and decided to set up basically a not-for-profit company based around a really simple idea that all of these red dots, which were empty buildings in Newcastle at the time, were lost opportunities to start something, try something, do something. Basic principle of Renew, empty spaces are lost opportunities. This property that we're standing in has been empty for 4.5 years. Is that someone gave me that figure? Yeah. Every single one of those days was a day that someone didn't try an idea, didn't try and launch a business, didn't bring a community together, didn't try and make something happen. And our theory is that communities work better when lots of people are trying to make lots of things happen. Whether they're businesses, community projects, whether they're for-profit or not-for-profit, communities work better when people are doing things that bring people together. And there's economic value to that, there's social value to that, and what we've found, and I think we've sort of proven with the model of Renew, is that for property owners, bizarrely, letting buildings sit empty is the dumbest thing you can do, because you're missing the chance to have people invest their initiative, their effort, their sweat, their imagination in doing things and trying things in those properties when you would otherwise just be watching them deteriorate. So we began what I call the experiment back in 2008. This had once upon a time been the main mall in Newcastle. So when I was a kid, my grandmother would dress up to go shopping. It's a bit later, it's almost, it's not quite this old, but I can almost remember it looking like that. In 2008 it looked like this. Empty, 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 empty. That guy was there. There was literally one of him. And those two people were there. But you had this problem. Basically this block, these blocks, there's about a 4-block strip in the centre of Newcastle where there were more shops empty than there were full. And so you had this feedback where, for a start, anyone who was thinking about opening a new business would look at that area and go, well, I'm not going to do it there because there's no one there. The story of that area, the whole narrative that had evolved was like, why do you, like, don't go there, it's sad now. Like, you know, it's a sad story now. The whole thing had become this self-perpetuating feedback loop. So, because shops were empty, even the successful businesses that were there were moving out to the suburbs or other parts of town because the emptiness around them was actually negatively affecting their business. So in 2008 we began this process where we began to work with the owners of those empty properties to borrow them and lend them to creative and community projects on a rolling 30-day basis. So the idea is, if the owner gets a better offer, they can have their building back. In the interim, we're just going to lend it to someone who's going to try something. May not work, but the act of lots of people trying lots of things is what a community needs. So they got in and they used their sweat and their effort and they began to fix up and clean up buildings. This is a collective of young mums who make kids' clothes and bags and jewellery. They've been doing it from home, put them into a shop. It turned out they did a pretty good job with it. Photography gallery. I don't know. Does anyone have a relative who's a good photographer who puts them online? Is anyone one of those people? Yes. So these guys set up a community photography gallery. Really simple concept, right? This is an exhibition of local Newcastle and Hunter landscapes, right? Turns out they had 80 photographers contribute to this exhibition because everyone knows someone who takes great photographs, right? But they don't get an opportunity to show them. 80 photographers, multiply that by their friends and relatives that all came to opening night, and you had a line-up around the block. Biggest block, the biggest queue that area had seen in probably a decade. Really, really, really simple stuff, but made a big difference. This is an old Lowe's clothing store that had failed, by the way. This is Indigenous Visual Arts Galleries, another collective of makers, milliners. One of the things we try and do is we work with whatever a building's constraints is. In this case, we had a bare concrete shell. We never had a fit out, so there was nothing to break. So we let artists in here and go crazy with it. They covered the walls in latex. It's a thing. It's an art thing. I don't know. Anyone know contemporary art? Can explain that? No. Okay, you don't have to. It's all right. If you had 3 drinks in an exhibition opening, ripping latex off a wall is a lot of fun. That's all you need to know. This is another thing out.